Hello and welcome to episode number 300 and I believe 78 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. We are here, Money in the Bank 2023 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. And yes, we have a lot of action-packed stuff here tonight, including 2 Money in the Bank matches, 2 World Championship matches, 2 Women's Championship matches, an Intercontinental Championship match, a United States Championship match, a Raw Tag Team Championship match, and a Loser Leaves SmackDown Weaponized Steel Cage match. That's a long-ass fucking show. And, yeah. So, I'm looking at last year's event. We got a 97, 87, 71, we keep growing. Maybe get a 100 this year, I don't know. I can't confirm the main event is going to be Cody Rhodes and Adam Cole. I just think TEW will rate that higher. So, yeah. Without any more further ado, though, it's time to jump into tonight's show. We start off on the kickoff show with a 71. That's actually not terrible considering the teams involved here. The Women's Tag Team Championship match. It's Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley who retain the championships over the Birds of Prey, being Lyra Valkyria and Killer Kelly, when Tatum submits Kelly with an Eye of the Reaper to make defense number 3 of the Women's Tag Team Championships. 56 for Ivy, 69 for Tatum, 62 for Killer Kelly, and a 72 for Lyra Valkyria. And then, yeah, that's the pre-show match over and done with. We then get the big hype video featuring all of the big matches, the 2 World Title matches, Seth Rollins and Carmelo Hayes, Adam Cole and Cody Rhodes, and then hype for the 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches. And we will be kicking things off tonight with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And we've got a quick hype video and entrances for all of that. Here are the 8 members of the match: Xavier Woods, Grayson Waller, Shinsuke Nakamura, Jeff Jarrett, Angelo Dawkins, Bronson Steiner, LA Knight, and Ilya Dragunov. Let's see what we score. Yeah, didn't expect this to do well at all. I cannot explain why right now, but you'll get it. I'll go over the rating at the end. Yes, these 8 men. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of spots. You can imagine a lot of the spots had LA Knight, obviously the favourite, because, you saw the real life Money in the Bank ladder match. And Bronson Steiner is the big guy. He's doing the big man spots, he's the one who gets buried under the ladders and powers through. Grayson Waller's the one who takes through the bump, probably an elbow drop off the ladder onto another ladder bridge. The Grayson Waller stand and deliver bump that he did. Do that on, I don't know, Angelo Dawkins or someone like that. And Ilya Dragunov, he's putting his fucking body. He's probably headbutting ladders and shit because he's a fucking mental fucking wanker. LA Knight. Jeff Jarrett and Shinsuke Nakamura, don't take many bumps because they're Jeff Jarrett and Shinsuke Nakamura. I imagine one bump would be that somebody, we do the fake out spot, where somebody, Ilya probably, gets his hands on the case, he's about to unhook it, but then Jeff Jarrett comes in from off screen and smacks the guitar over his head, and he falls to the floor, and then Double J climbs up, but he gets pulled down, in safe Jeff Jarrett fashion. But in the end, I imagine the finish, she's probably Ilya and Bronson Steiner on top of a ladder. They both smack each other hard. They both fall down to the floor. And the crowd's applauding. And then 2 men crawl into the ring and grab, they're on their knees and they grab the bottom rung of each ladder, of each side of the ladder as they both try and climb slowly. Those 2 men being LA Knight and Xavier Woods. And the crowd is over the moon, they're happy to see either of these men win. Both men continue climbing, and it looks like we're going to find out which one of these 2 men is going to end up being Mr. Money in the Bank.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar. And now I see that I'm way better than before.
When Bianca Belair's music hits, and she comes out, she goes, boys. I see you back there, you're really putting it all on the line here tonight. Okay, and trust me, as the franchise player of Raw, I'm rooting for a Raw guy to get it done. But I'll be real with y'all. Because this match ain't over until I say it's over. Because I'm using my wish right now, and there will be a 9th competitor in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Out rushes Montez forward. He sprints to the ring. And crowd's like, what the fuck is going on here? Montez Ford enters the ring. And he dumps the ladder over. Both LA Knight and Xavier Woods go tumbling to the outside. And then Montez Ford, he sets the ladder up. Hard cam side. And he climbs the ladder and he retrieves the Money in the Bank briefcase. To a mixed reception. Because on one hand, we like Montez Ford and we want him to be world champion. But on the other hand, that's kind of fucked. That's kind of some bullshit. And yeah, the reason the match only got a 73 is because, Tez was added late on and that screwed the whole thing up. But yes, the man who won the Money in the Bank briefcase was in fact none of the 8 men who had been qualified for the match. It was Montez Ford. 86 for Xavier Woods, 79 for Angelo Dawkins, 79 for Bronson Steiner, 87 for Nakamura, 93 for Ilya, 76 for Grayson Waller, 80 for LA Knight, 57 for Jeff Jarrett, and a 75 for Montez Ford. Grayson Waller took the stump bump, yeah. That's the spot I detailed. Believe it or not, other than the finish, Tez coming in and tipping the 2 favourites off the ladder, and a couple of the big spots, I don't have as much planned spot by spot in this match as I do the women's one. Everybody that qualified for the women's match is in the match for a reason, and I'll get to that later on. But yes, we have our men's Mr. Money in the Bank for 2023. Montez Ford. We then followed that up with hopefully a palate cleanser here for the UK crowd, because out comes Pete Dunne. His music hits. The Bruiserweight coming out in his home country. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 70,000 people, because you could easily fit that many people in there, like with floor seats and shit. Taking on Swerve Scott for the US title. Of course, Pete Dunne, he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther before it was ripped away from him by Carmelo Hayes. And now he's here, London, looking to capture the United States Championship. Of course, he's been through Top Dollar, he's been through Ashanti the Adonis, he's got one more member of Hit Row to go. Here in his home country. And after that questionable finish to the first match, the crowd, they're desperate for their guy to win this time. And in 13 minutes and 54 seconds, the winner and your new United States Champion is Pete Dunne. Surprisingly, he's only well known. The plan was always that I was going to put the belt on Pete Dunne here, but he's been fluctuating with star and well known for like the last couple of weeks, and I was like, oh fuck, he better not be a star by the time it hits Money in the Bank. But he's not. He is only well known, so yeah, he's allowed to win this, and he has. And he's here. New United States Championship. The reign of Swerve comes to an end in London. And we get a big moment. Our first title change of the night. 93 for Swerve Scott, 92 for Pete Dunne. And yeah, the story gains heat, but it doesn't matter because I haven't got strict storylines turned on. But Pete Dunne is the United States Champion. Swerve, he had a good run. Retained it at WrestleMania. But I think it's time to move on and take the belt elsewhere. We then go from that to another 86 rated match. Apparently this match suffered from a lack of psychology. In 14 minutes and 41 it went, but apparently these two don't have the psychology to run that. Anyway, Sasha and Charlotte on pay-per-view. Where have I seen this before? This time, though, it's different. This time it's not for the Raw Women's Championship. This time it's for the WWE Women's Championship. Yeah, they have pretty good chemistry, as you can imagine. But Sasha is, and it will be pointed out a lot on the commentary, I imagine, like, the story would be that Sasha is a substitute. Like, she's not as long to prepare as it would have been if it was Nova, because Sasha stood in for Nova, but Charlotte already knew she was going to defend that Money in the Bank. And Charlotte, of course, has Ava, Rain, and Ariana Grace by her side as well. And they, of course, get involved. Sasha knocks them both off, but then once she hits that interest rate, they distract the referee and shit. And the referee goes to eject them from ringside when out from the back rush Danny Jordan, Aaliyah, and Skylar, who brawl with Ariana and Ava around ringside. Like, they fight through the crowd or whatever. And Charlotte's looking on like, what the fuck's this? Like, come on. And the referee's, of course, distracted as well. But Charlotte then backs into Sasha, and then Sasha picks her up, hits a backstabber, and then locks in that bank statement. Charlotte, she's got no friends at ringside. The Queen is all alone in England. And there was the one Queen fell in England. And tonight, yet another has, as Charlotte Flair submits to the bank statement. And 2 title matches, 2 switches. Sasha Banks wins the women's title. So, you know, you can see through this. You can see how transparent this is, okay? Because obviously this was supposed to be Nova and Charlotte's big blow-off match where Nova was going to beat Charlotte and win the belt. But then she got pregnant. But I'd already made the post-title reign plans for Charlotte after Money in the Bank. So whoever I subbed in had to win the title. Which is why I had to... Sasha was the best choice I had. Like, it was that or I was gonna... bring Becky back early. But, I'm more content with this result than I am that one. Because, yeah, the way that the belt is going to be taken forward from here to SummerSlam and beyond would work better. If not Nova, then Sasha is the best number 2 for the championship, basically. So, yeah, another title change. Sasha Banks, new Women's WWE Women's Champion. 91 for Charlotte, 92 for Sasha, 86 for the match. Lack of psychology, apparently. But, in the end, the downfall of the Queen came, not technically by the hands of Sasha Banks, but also by the hands of her old cohorts. Aaliyah, Skylar, and Danny Jordan. Just an interesting note to take note of there. Speaking of women's cohorts, we get Dakota. She's like putting her gear on ready for Money in the Bank when Bayley and Cora walk up and they go, you know, yesterday was me and Cora had a bit of a thingy backstage, but I just wanted to let you know that we're all good, we're all on the same page, and tonight it's your match. Dakota's like, again, thanks, but like I said yesterday, I want to prove that everyone knows what I can do alone. Bayley goes, but you pulled the case down yesterday because of me, because of my help, you know. Like, we got both of us here tonight, you know. Seems like a no-brainer. If you really want to win, you should use us both. And Dakota goes, I'll tell you what, if I need you, you'll know the signal. But I got this, girls, okay, remember? Do you have faith in me? Do you have faith in me? And then Cora's like, yeah, of course. It's like, well then, remember, if one of us wins, we all win. AE2B, which is actually decent for a match of this many moving parts, and 2 of those parts being Gallows and Anderson. But coming off the big fight angle involving all these factions have sort of been at head since before Starrcade now. It's a 4-way tag team match. Humberto and Zergis against AJ and Finn, against Gallows and Anderson, against the Fritz brothers of the Paragon. And yeah, Gallows and Addison doing their thing. They're trying to secure the bags. They're trying to protect AJ and Finn. Of course, Double J didn't secure the money earlier on tonight, but they're hoping to bring the gold home. The Fritz is looking to be a precursor for Adam Cole on the main event tonight. And of course, Zergus is running wild. There'll definitely be a chokeslam from Zergus on Luke Gallows at some point. And then the Fritz is coming, and they both double team and take out Zergus. And then Humberto flies in, takes them both out. And then Finn Balor, who probably has some Tottenham-themed gear, which, you know, probably, even in Tottenham Stadium, would probably get him a mixed reaction. Hits a 1916 on Humberto Carrillo. And he goes up top and he hits coup de grace. And the reign is over. AJ Styles and Finn Balor take home the Raw Tag Team Championships. Believe it or not, it's been, 9 months? This is still an audible that I've called early. Even booking this match in tonight. I was like, I was still 50-50 on whether I wanted to end it here, I wanted to keep the reign going. Because it's the Path of the Dragon reign. But at some point I have to look at this as a video game and look at the numbers that this database is sending back my way. And with Humberto's injury and with Zergus in there instead of Tozawa, it just hasn't been the same since WrestleMania. And I felt like if I was taking it to SummerSlam, which was the original plan, that would feel like it's dragged on too long. And I'd rather cut it off now than tarnish the whole thing by dragging it on too long. So, sadly, well, not sadly, because we love AJ and Finn, but sadly for our heroes, Path of the Dragon, their iconic Raw Tag Team Championship reign has come to an end at 270-something days. But we start a new era of the Raw Tag Team division here tonight. The era of AJ Styles and Finn Balor. Finn in his beloved football club stadium, winning a championship. Something his club has never done in this same building. 82 for Zergus, 76 for Humberto, 84 for Finn, 81 for AJ, 64 for Gallows, 75 for Carl Anderson, 79 for Kevin Fritz, and a 77 for David Fritz. Speaking of big title changes, we've had 3 title changes for free so far on the show. And now it's Sheamus versus Chad Gable. And for Sheamus, he's hoping to make this 4 for 4 and finally win that IC title in London, his adopted home. But if Sheamus doesn't make it 4 for 4, this is his last shot. Ridge is out there, and Anthony Ogogo is out there for the match. I know they don't have very good chemistry in singles matches, but I've bit the bullet anyway. Fuck me, they still got an 89. Oh, they do have chemistry? Did I cheat that? Or did that just manually go away? I feel like I may have tinkered with the game a bit because I knew this was the blow-off match. Anywho, yes. Sheamus and Chad Gable. The crowd obviously desperate for Sheamus to win. And Gable does the big O'Connor roll German to Sheamus. He kicks out 2. He gets all fired up. Ridge and Anthony Ogogo brawl on the outside. Imagine Ogogo would clock Sheamus on the jaw with a punch at some point, which leads to Gable rolling him up. 1, 2, kick out. Crowd's going wild for Sheamus. He even hits the fucking Celtic Cross at some point. Razor's Edge, to prove how desperate he is to finally capture that Intercontinental Championship. But then Gable, he's got Sheamus down. He hits a big diving headbutt. He backs into the corner. Crowd's all in silence. He goes, sheesh, sheesh. He charges up. He goes to hit another big running German suplex. But Sheamus springs to his feet. He catches Chad Gable in the middle of run. Brogue kick. Gable fucking completely flips as he gets hit with a brogue kick. Like, lands on his stomach, flips. That's how he sells it like death. And Sheamus calls for the cover. And he wins the IC title. For the first time in his career, Sheamus is the Intercontinental Champion. And he's done it here at London. Again, another change that I knew was coming here since WrestleMania. Because I was like, I could give it to Sheamus in that ladder match, but that doesn't feel as important as him pinning the champion one-on-one to do it. And I thought, yeah, we're going London Money in the Bank. Big Shamo. That's when he's winning the belt. 4 for 4 title changes, by the way. Crazy. Yeah, Sheamus gets an 81 and 93 for Gable. I believe Gable is now a star as well. Sheamus, I had to keep beating a lot. Because he was a star, I wanted him to drop to well known, so he did it. But, yes, we have a new Intercontinental Champion, Sheamus, here tonight. And as for Gable, he's now a star, he can't win it back. Because, unless he dropped down to well known again after losing it. But, I guess we're looking up for Gable. But you can't get much higher than Sheamus right now. He's on top of the world. Speaking of high and on top of the world, that's some analogy about on top of the cage. Because we're now going to see one of these two women is going to leave SmackDown for good. Io Sky and Kairi Sane has been going back since February, since Io returned from that concussion 4 months ago. A personal bitter rivalry between two former best friends now turned mortal enemies. Only one will remain on SmackDown after tonight. And the match gets an 89. Weaponized steel cage. And I think that has telegraphed the finish to this match. Perfectly. Look at the people in it. One of them specifically. And weaponized steel cage, as in there are weapons such as kendo sticks and steel chairs and garbage cans on top of the cage. So in 16 minutes 37, Io Sky ascends to the top of the cage, trash can over the head, and I'm not sure of the practicality to say she does a moonsault, because that just sounds fucking dangerous. So, just the normal dive with the trash can on her head. Probably on Kairi through a table. That's a stunt bump. That's why I've got to set to take a stunt bump. And Io wins in 16:37. Kairi Sane gone from SmackDown. This rivalry in the bed. She can go and replace Nova Nebula on Raw now. And Io on top of the world, on top of the division. And a big win here. The only non-title or Money in the Bank match on this show. Because, yeah, it felt like it needed to happen here. And I need to blow the feud off before Revolution. So, yes. Io Sky retains. Doesn't retain, wins. Banishes Kairi. She gets a 93-81 for Kairi Sane. We then see backstage, we see Montez forward with Money in the Bank, and Bianca comes to greet him like, oh my god, yes, you did it, Tez, you did it. Okay, so now I've had a lot of success in my career, and I'm so happy for myself, but I'm so over the moon for you, Tez. Finally, we can both be world champion. Okay, Queen of the Ring's coming up. I'm in that. So when I win that, I can win that championship. I can beat Sasha. I've already beaten Sasha before, and then we'll both be champions once you cash that in and you win, and you can dethrone either Cody or Carmelo Hayes, whichever one it wants to be. But for now, we're going out to celebrate your victory. And they get into a car and drive off. The specific reason this segment is happening is so I can show Bianca Belair leaving. Because she does still have a wish left, and I don't want that lingering, she's going to come out and wish for herself to be Money in the Bank. No, we know she's gone, so we know that's not happening. Speaking of women's Money in the Bank, we get a hype segment for it right here. Julia, Roxy Perez, Zelina Vega, AJ Lee, Florence, Dakota Kai, Tiffany Stratton, and Utami Hayashishita. And yeah. So no fuckery in this one. One of these 8 women is going to win. So yeah, time to see what the rating the match gets. 82. I can live with that. I've got a couple of people taking stump bumps here. Okay. Yes. So believe it or not, I envisioned this one and it is better. The game agrees. Because of the finish of the first one and just the people involved, Jeff Jarrett was in there, for fuck's sake. I imagine this one being the crazier of the 2 ladder matches, hence why I've not had it on first. Because you've got a lot of people here who I think would be willing to take bumps. Basically everybody, apart from maybe at a push AJ, but I also reckon she'd be open to get thrown off a ladder, which is all I need her to do. So yes, anyway, as I said before, all of these women have been meticulously handcrafted. I was like, Walter White assembling this match, because they're all in here for a reason. Like the men's one was just a group of people I thought would be fun and all good. Like, but these are the 8 in this match for a specific reason. Because they've all got fun things to do, and I've got fun dynamics I want to play out during the match. Because I've spelled it out and also said it outright on Raw that there has been like sort of a 1A 1B thing with Florence and Julia recently, where like they're both looked at as the next as the future. So they're obviously going to fight each other. Definitely there'll be a spot where where like everyone's down and then they turn around and look at each other and then start just exchanging forearms and shit on the floor. We've got Utami, who's in there just to be the crazy Joshi who does crazy shit. Tiffany Stratton, of course, she's taking the stand and deliver bump, but hopefully she's going to get caught this time. When she gets dumped off, probably grabbed on the outside, caught by everybody out there. I know, don't specifically know who's out there to catch Tiffany. And then there'll be another spot where like Tiffany's climbing the ladder. She's got her hand. This is obviously a lot later. She's got her hands on the case, and Zelina Vega like springboards onto the other side of the ladder, and then somehow Hurricane Rana's Tiffany off, and they both fall to the floor. So them two are out, and then I imagine Utami gets taken out probably with like a move off. Dakota Kai like slams her on a ladder or something on the outside. So the 5 we have not wiped out are Roxy, AJ, Dakota, Florence, and Julia. And then, with the ladder in the middle of the ring, the same is probably do with LA Knight and Xavier Woods earlier on. That's Roxy and AJ now, and then they both climbed to the top of the ladder, and they're face to face at the top of the ladder. And they said on Raw, if this happened, they were going to fucking fight each other. And they have to sort of give each other a grin, look up at the ladder, or look up at the briefcase even, and start just smacking each other, like trying to knock each other off. We finally get that exchange between AJ and Roxy, but then we can hear commotion from the crowd. Because Bayley is stormed out from the back. And she comes in, she tips the ladder over both Roxy and AJ. Probably not to the outside, because I imagine there's a table set up outside. And Roxy and AJ get tipped off, like do the thing where they hit the ropes and does like roll to the outside. And then Bayley goes outside, she picks up Dakota, who I imagine is still down from whatever her and Utami did earlier on. She's like, come on, go. She's like, come on, it's free, it's yours, okay? And then Dakota's like, oh, I told you to stay in the back, but whatever, I'll climb. She gets into the ring and Dakota slowly ascends up and Bayley's like, fuck yeah, see, I told you, fucking damage control, baby. We're gonna win. And Dakota, like, I imagine she's on that side of the ladder, like, facing the hard cam. So like we get the shot where it zooms in on her grabbing the case and she's going to hook it down, and we hear more commotion from the fans as the ladder starts to begin to tip forward, and then Dakota falls off the top to the outside through a table because she was pushed by Bayley. Bayley sort of just looks down, just stares at Dakota on the floor outside through the table. Boos echoing around Tottenham. And she leaves. She walks to the back. Probably has like a damage control vest or like jacket or something off probably takes it off, just slams it on the floor, storms to the back. But the match isn't over, of course. But then there were two. The aforementioned Florence and Julia both climb like each side of a ladder, and they meet each other at the top. And then the crowd's all like taking it in. Obviously, Florence is the favourite here. It's in England. She sends the first forearm back. Yeah, boo, yeah, boo, yeah, boo. And they both smack each other. They both get groggied. Julia then goes to hit another one on Florence. She catches her, smacks her head against the ladder. Another stiff forearm. Julia falls to the floor. Florence then takes her seat at the top of the ladder and pulls down the case. England goes wild. Hometown girl has done it. We have a new Miss Money in the Bank in a crazy, crazy match. Florence takes home the briefcase. 76 for Roxy, 85 for Dakota Kai, 75 for Zelina Vega, 48 for Tiffany, 90 for Julia, 85 for Utami, 71 for AJ Lee, and 83 for Florence. And that set up a lot of shit for the next year, basically. Yes. So, we do have our new Miss Money in the Bank. Florence. And she sits atop of the ladder, music blaring, London, Tottenham, happy that their home goal won, but the carnage all around the outside. Speaking of carnage, Seth Rollins and Carmelo Hayes. I don't know, I guess maybe one of them likes carnage. He's not as good as Venom, but maybe. Anyway, we get Melo and Seth again. It was Money in the Bank last year that this really started, because that's when Carmelo Hayes beat Seth Rollins to pull down the men's case last year. And this year they're wrestling for the World Heavyweight Championship in an 87 rated match. And I don't think I'm gonna hide this, because I don't have a whole lot to say. But Carmelo Hayes retains. Kinda clean. Ish. Yes. Because, I don't want to specifically say that Melo's fully babyface, but I feel like everybody, apart from like Dominik Mysterio or Grayson Waller, would be a babyface against Seth Rollins right now. And, yeah. Carmelo Hayes retains. He's got Seth Rollins' number yet again. So Seth can beat the fuck out of Roman Reigns at every turn, but there are so many people that he just can't beat. Two. Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes. The two world champions. I guess that's not so many people. 82 for Carmelo Hayes and 88 for Seth. Yeah, 87's fine for that. Let's go. It's not the main event. Cody versus Adam Cole is. And I'm hoping that will get into the 90s. Another 86 rated Women's Championship match. We take those. This one is a little bit longer built than Charlotte and Sasha. Liv and Shida, former Women's Tag Team Champions, butting heads because they've both sort of been sniffing around the world title recently. And I guess that as always, that's led to a little bit of friction. And as much as Candice has tried to play peacemaker, she's still the world champion at the end of the day. It's still in her best interests to not do that. And yes, imagine there was a spot here. Shida hits the Tamashi on Candice, and she crawls into the cover. 1, 2, and Liv breaks it up. And Shida's like, okay, fuck her, yeah, but like I get it, everyone for herself, but like fuck. And then them two start fighting. We finally get the proper fight between, because Liv did lay her hands, or I guess foot, on Shida yesterday for the first time. And now we get the proper fight between the two, exchanging strikes. Liv, she's fighting it off. Oblivion. She hits the Oblivion on Hikaru Shida. And Candice flies in with a lion salt, takes down Liv as she goes to pin Shida. And then obviously when Liv gets hit by the lion salt, she rolls to the outside. And Candice pins Shida to retain the title. 89 for Candice, 71 for Shida, 73 for Liv. So Liv so close yet but again, close but no cigar. Technically, indirectly, Shida cost her the belt here because she got pinned, and Liv didn't. So, And again, Candice LeRae, you know, babyface champion and all, like, heart, underdog, all that shit. Since, like, this Liv Morgan shit's been happening, she's been sort of escaping narrowly with the title a lot. But then the show's interrupted. We hear Kit Wilson on the mic go, stop, boys, no boy. Okay, first of all, yes, London, hello, it's me, Kit Wilson of Pretty Deadly. Yes, it's great to be here in my home country. But I can't enjoy it the way I would, because I should be here with my Ellie. But nobody's brought him home. Okay, we've been looking, we've been calling, we've been texting. He's been stuck in Paris for nearly a month now. And we need to know, has anybody seen Elton Prince? And out comes Dudley. And he's like, Kit, you know, first of all, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry that you lost your mate. But this is Money in the Bank. This ain't Lost and Found. Okay. So, this ring is reserved for, you know, the people on the show. But I just thought I'd come out here in front of London and tell you all to jog on. Look for your mate elsewhere. And Kit goes, how dare you say that to me? And he gets bop and banged. Kit gets dropped. And then him and Tonya leave. Breeze was there as well, but again, like normal, he's just sort of like lingering in the background, not saying anything, looking on in disgust. Dudley takes in the hometown crowd cheers. When Randy Orton slivers in, he goes to RKO Dudley. Like, Dudley turns around, he gets put in position for an RKO, but he, like, tosses him off. And then we get a fight. Him and Randy Orton brawl. And, like, security, I imagine, would come out and try and break it up. And then Dudley hits a big dive to the outside, wiping out Randy and the security, and getting all fired up in front of the London crowd. You know, I felt bad that Dudley wasn't booked on the show. So, here he is, getting a big moment ahead of their match in King of the Ring in 2 days' time. But here's the main event. Cody Rhodes, Adam Cole, baby. London. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Money in the Bank. WWE Championship. Montez Ford, we know, drove off. So, he's not a factor. It's Cody Rhodes, Adam Cole, one-on-one. Match gets a 95, yep. I made the right decision putting this on last. But, again, like the other world title match, probably the least dramatic match on the card. Because I don't think anybody realistically for Adam Cole was taking the belt home here. Paragon, two members of them, the Fritz brothers, were in the tag title match, as were AJ and Finn, so they're not a factor. But I do imagine Bobby Roode comes out to try and help Adam Cole, and then Drew McIntyre's music hits. He storms out, you know, another way, get him on the show in front of the big British crowd, hits a claymore on Bobby Roode on the outside, crossroads to Adam Cole, 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes retains. 88 for Cody and a 95 for Adam Cole. That was part of the reason why I put this on last, because this game, Adam Cole's a fucking beast in this, even though he's not really done a whole lot of main eventing. Like, he's still incredible. He's like one of my top 5 franchise players, despite not really doing much. So, that's part of the reason why I even booked the match in the first place. And, yes, Cody. Also, this fucking son of a bitch here, right? This has got nothing to do with the match. Okay, the match is done. We'll get to the ending segment in a minute. I want to talk to you about Adam Cole. You can see his fucking face on the screen right now. There has been a little bit of tea in the Challenge One world. So I said on Raw 2 weeks ago, when I announced that Nova was pregnant, I was like, I think it's her and Caleb Conley. Turns out that relationship was not actually set up in the game. And Nova was dating a guy named Dion Russman, who she got with while they were both in NXT. And then, after it found out Nova was pregnant, she cheated on him with Adam Cole, who's also already broken up with Britt Baker. So, I'm guessing that baby isn't Dion Russman's baby after all. It's Adam Cole's baby. Anyway, closing segment. And again, Drew and Cody fight off Adam Cole and Bobby Roode. Drew poses with the sword, Cody poses with the belt. Big baby faces celebrating, sending the crowd home happy. Maybe they can sing American Pie this time because, you know, American Nightmare and Drew McIntyre. And it wouldn't be obnoxious because it would be A, off camera, and B, after a babyface win. 98. We take that. But yes. If I do say so myself, what a pay-per-view. The news coming out of this show. You got 2 new Money in the Bank winners. You got fucking 4 new champions. You know? Just a whole lot of shit. And what matters more than the 98 the game's given me, but that does mean a lot. Thank you, game. But what matters more is what you thought of the show. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for Raw, which will be the first on the road to King of the Ring and Evolution. King of the Ring is going to take place... They're both July week 3. One Saturday, one Sunday. Obviously, King of the Ring is men's only. Evolution's women's only. Evolution 5, by the way. Evolution's in Paris. And King of the Ring's in Rome. So, yeah. And we're going to begin the build to those shows on next week's Raw. Which is also, remember, Alexa Bliss's Legends Night. And, yes. I'll see you then.